Michael, is that real? Real time?
Together we go build and we go rock. And together we go build and we go rock. I wanna be like my you, yeah. Stay winning like my you, yeah. I wanna be like that,
All right, this is absolutely exciting. You know, the African Entrepreneur Prize Initiative, which was created by Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba Group and the Jack Ma Foundation, after his trip to Africa in 2017, identifies Africa's business heroes. Now, these are male and female entrepreneurs who are building a more sustainable and inclusive economy for the future of our continent. My name is Anita Erskine, and I am your brand ambassador and official host of the Africa's Business Heroes program and show. Now, from 2017, when ANPI was just an idea, to November 2019, when 10 of our finalists shared $1 million, to now, as we launch the second year during these unprecedented times. The ANPI journey has been quite outstanding. Today, we are proud to be launching the second year of the African Netpreneur Prize Initiative to over 2,000 of you across the continent and around the world. I'm joined by extraordinary participants this afternoon from around the world. Now, we've got Strive Masiyiwa, who is the founder and CEO of Simba Education. We also have Jason Powell, who's the Senior Advisor for International Programs at Jack Ma Foundation. We've got our 2019 Africa Business Heroes finalists joining us as well. Fred Swanica, founder of Africa Leadership Group, is here, and Programs and Partnerships Manager for ANPI, Zara Beatty, is joining me, and she's in the studio with me as we observe the prescribed social distancing guidelines. But you know what, Zara, so far but so close. I'm happy to have you here. So proud of our continent at this moment. And tell us, how are you feeling?
Anita, it's such a pleasure to be joined with you here in the studio. You know, as an initiative of the Jack Ma Foundation that aims to support the African entrepreneur ecosystem, we are deeply aware that at this moment, businesses around the world and in Africa are facing challenges. At the same time, we are motivated and encouraged to push on because we truly believe that entrepreneurs are both the hope and potential solution to many of the challenges we face. Yeah. And we are really inspired by many of the entrepreneurs, including some of our finalists, who we'll hear from today, who've been innovating and really at the forefront of developing solutions to address this current crisis.
Yeah. And you know, one of the things I guess I'm most proud of you for is that, I mean, there have been so many conversations about the plan for the year. And then COVID literally, or the coronavirus, I should say, pandemic, has changed everything, but you've adapted pretty quickly. Describe what you've had to do, how you've had to change the course.
Thanks, Anita. So originally we had planned to have a roadshow that would take us across Africa. We were very excited to do so. We would have the chance to go to different countries and take our message. But I think one of the unintended effects of this crisis has been that it has really pushed us to leverage the power of technology.
That's it.
And so on this webcast, we have over 2,000 attendees who come from over 70 countries. We have speakers dialing in from over 5 countries, spread across 3 continents. And many of these speakers, who I'm so excited we'll have the chance to hear from, demonstrate a lot of the values that we at ANPI hold dear: boldness, courage, tenacity, innovation. And so, although our plans have changed, I'm truly excited that on this one webcast, we have the chance to take our message so far and so wide to over 2,000 people.
You know, technology is power. But more so, I would say, is this creation, this ecosystem called ANPI that has been created to change a lot of conversations that entrepreneurs are having, you know, around the world, particularly on this continent. And on that note, I just want to share what the true ethos and mission of the ANPI is, and that is embedded in this video. Take a look.
About 54% of Liberians live on less than $2 a day. My entire philosophy on doing business is to empower people, to provide opportunities for people to earn money.
My name is Christelle. I am from Rwanda.
My whole skin would just come off easily. I thought I was about to die. I'm turning 18, right? Perfect time to die, but I didn't die.
I want to start my project before someone else gets the idea. A central hub that works online, because we were the first to do so.
Everywhere in the world, entrepreneurs are the same. They have a hope, they have a dreams, they're never afraid of something, they want to create. Entrepreneurs, I think we should make them heroes.
Welcome to Africa's Business Hero Show.
Last century, the bigger the better. This century, business, the small the better.
I want any people that are in Africa or anywhere else in the world to believe that they can make money thanks to African culture.
Our goal is to go after 10 million farmers in Africa, and we're going to get Africa to feed ourselves and the world.
Small is nothing wrong.
And I live for the day that every African child can access water in their homes.
Can each one of you give me one advice that I will mark it by heart and I will remember it for 10 years?
They can start their dream, they can start their journey and change the continent.
This is the first time we have this program, and we will continue to do it.
This is how I want to do. This is my own passion.
And perhaps, I guess, even more relevant with what's happening around the world. I've got joining me Jason Powell, who's a senior advisor for an international program at Jack Ma Foundation. And he's going to be talking about this initiative and how it's driving, driving so many different things and people, I would say. Jason, you're very welcome. We were supposed to meet in person, but hey, we can't control everything, can we?
Exactly. No, it's great to see you again, Anita, and to all the new friends and old friends online this afternoon. I hope you can hear me okay.
We can hear you loud and clear. Jason, please share with us the relevance of, African business heroes now. I mean, look what's happening around the world today and what you really expect from year two and what we should also expect from year two.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. We're living through extraordinary times, and I think that's very clear. And these times are presenting challenges that are also unprecedented. They are wide-ranging in impact, and they also go very, very deep. Lives are being lost by the hour, by the minute. And I think it's times like these, especially like times like these, that we need to change with the times. We need to act decisively. And we really need to think about what we can do today and tomorrow to protect not only lives, but jobs. And so for us at the initiative in the Jack Ma Foundation, we can be more focused on pushing this project throughout the continent of Africa, because what we know is that while we're dealing with the virus, we also need to support economic opportunities for the young people, for entrepreneurs, for everybody. And so I'll speak on behalf of the team. We have been working 24 hours a day for the last 2 months. We haven't been sleeping at all. And I'll tell you why. We are honored to have a leader like Mr. Jack Ma. In the last 2 months, the Jack Ma Foundation has funded 5 research and development institutions to come up with vaccines and drugs for coronavirus. Over the last month, our teams have been working to provide PPE and test kits to over 140 countries, 140. In Africa, we're close to delivering 10 million pieces of PPE to the continent. And it's really such extraordinary times. And I think that we can't also act in a vacuum. We have to understand what the context is. And so for us, you can't talk about jobs if people's lives are at risk. And so we know that we have to do both. It's a burden that Jack has decided to take upon himself. We've been working actively with partners on the ground, the World Food Program. We've been working with Ethiopian Airlines. We've been working with the Prime Minister of Ethiopia to distribute all these products. Africa CDC, amazingly, in 6 days, we got it out to 50 countries. I'm mentioning this not because to say that what we're really doing, but what I'm trying to get across is we are trying to build an effort that involves all of Africa, no matter what we do on the continent, whether it's our support on PPE or whether it's the prize. And, you know, actually there's a deeper reason why I think we're so active. If you look back at Alibaba's history, and this is very interesting, during the SARS epidemic years ago, we were 4 years old as a company, a startup. Alibaba.com, the first business of Alibaba Group, was a B2B platform. And 4 years into that, one of our employees was suspected to have contracted SARS. The government told Jack to shut down. It's very, very relevant to today. Some amazing things happened during that time. Jack ordered all the employees to go home, take your big CRT monitors at the time, take it home, continue serving your clients, don't stop, because that's really what we're all about, is serving our clients, even through the crisis at that time. The only way that we were able to survive was because family and friends continue to support. And so the interesting thing is May 10th was the day that we were allowed to come back to work. And May 10th has since then become Alibaba Day, where we celebrate our family and friends. It also was the day that we launched Taobao. And so there's a silver lining in this. As the coronavirus impacts all of our lives, we're finding out that the internet is there to support. And amazingly, even during that time, we saw an increase of traffic. And that increase of traffic enabled us, gave us that boost to be able to launch Taobao. And so this crisis is very personal for us. And this project is also very personal for us. So I think what we should be doing today is look at the silver lining, look at this opportunity that crisis is giving us. And I can't be more excited about entrepreneurship right now. It's going to take a lot of hard work. These are unusual challenges, but absolutely there's going to be opportunities. So let's look at China. And I wanted to just take a walk around the world and see what's happening today. What happened to our business during the crisis, this recent crisis? Volume for our Hema, which is our Fresh Hippo, it's an online supermarket. You can order fresh groceries. Orders went through the roof. DingTalk, our online messaging application, similar to Slack and other things, user growth through the roof. And so that's telling us something. When you don't have an ability to access typical infrastructure, roads, vehicles, etc., what do? You go online. And that's why when we travel across Africa, and I've done it with Jack several times now, every leader that we meet, Jack, please, he gives them a plea, gives them a call to action. You need internet, you need infrastructure, you need digital infrastructure, you need to build up your logistics, you need to build up your payments so that the digital economy can stand. And this is proof positive that the digital economy is the future backbone of all of our economies. Look at what we're doing on Zoom today. And so if we look at year 2, and I'm really excited that we're launching year 2 today online, and we can still do it. Let me just take us all back to why we're doing this. And it's really important. The money is great, but it's much more than the money. We have, from the very beginning, decided to go grassroots in nature. What we mean by that is the partners that we work with for this prize, we are trying to ensure that we are understanding, we know what's going on the ground. We're sensitive to what entrepreneurs are really going through, and that's reflected through the partners that we'll announce soon. The second is inclusive. It is really hard to have a program that is inclusive to 54 countries of Africa, but we're going to do it. That's our mission. We're not going to change from that. Third is, this is industry-wide. So the entrepreneurs that are watching right now, we're not focused that you be tech or some mobile app. That's not what our purpose is. We are out to get and find the best entrepreneurs, period. Whether you are in farming, whether you're in fishing, whether you're doing something in a primary industry, we don't care. All we care about is that you have an ability to create jobs and you have a passion to grow. But when I take a step back, it's really about participation. We have built and spent a lot of time and money to build this structure in place. But really what it's about is we're trying to create a system, a movement, if you will, that will create more interest and participation around something called entrepreneurship in Africa. And if we look ahead 10 years, you know, some of the things that we've discussed with our colleagues, what are our metrics for this program? It's, yes, every year we have 10 outstanding business heroes whose names are known 10 years later. Yes, it is that we have a show that is watched and appreciated, and people can learn from the greats on how to run a business. Yes, we would love for policymakers to pay attention, to pass laws and policies to support entrepreneurs in the entire ecosystem. Yes, we would love 5, 10, 15, 20 companies to have IPO'd all around the world. Yes, but above all else, we would love for millions and millions of people within Africa and around the world to take part in, to support entrepreneurship in Africa, because we know it's the future. We think it's important to create employment. And so that's one of the things that we'll be tracking. How many jobs are our heroes creating for Africans to support the future? That's really important for us. So I wanted just to take a step back and explain what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve. Now, I have some exciting news for this year. Last year, we apparently did a pretty good job. So Jack was as enthusiastic as ever. He's committed more resources, more time. We've got a bigger team. So for this year, you know, I'm pleased to announce that we're going to increase the prize amount by $500,000. We have a total prize pool of $1.5 million. And I think it's the largest grant program for entrepreneurs out there. And the lucky first place will now take $300,000 as a grant prize. Second place winner, $250,000. Third place, $150,000. The rest, the remaining top 7, will take $100,000 each, and we will put aside $10,000 for each of the 10 for training. So I hope this incentivizes everyone to bring their best foot forward, because I would apply if I could. You know, I really would. I would apply on behalf of the African Netpreneur Prize as our own entrepreneur initiative and try to get $300,000. So, you know, jump on it. The second thing that is really important is, as I mentioned before, this is a continent-wide initiative. We're sensitive to language, and we're sensitive to all the different parts of Africa. We decided this year that we're also going to launch in French. And so that's a big choice for us. We think it's something that we have to do. And so we're happy that we'll be also in French. Let me round out by saying that we have some amazing anchor partners that are joining us this year. Many of them have worked with us last year as well. Includes Rise Up from Cairo, Ashesi University, there of course in Ghana as well, Dahlberg across the continent, Django, West Africa. And there's hundreds and thousands of you that have been supporting us all throughout the last 2 years, and will continue to do so. So we'll have a full roster of different names and everything to come out on our website. But let me just close by saying a few things. One is we really appreciate and want to thank all of you for really being partners and trusting us in this initiative. We will continue to learn from our mistakes in the first year. We'll continue to improve. We'll continue to channel the goodwill but also a really strong business ethic and efficiency in how we run this program. Of course, we really hope that everyone stays safe through this crisis.
Yeah.
Importantly, stay sane. You know, there's a lot of people locked up at home. People can go crazy. Stay sane, maintain healthy habits. And when this is over, and it'll be over soon enough, we'll see everybody at on the other side, hopefully in Africa in person soon. So thank you everybody for your time.
Jason, thank you so much. And I'm particularly excited that, you know, we've got a little bit more money to do a little bit more, you know, for the continent. I'm particularly excited that, you know, Jason also talked about entrepreneurs being able to influence policy, you know, and you know, it's a great time to be a creative entrepreneur and to plug in, don't you think, Zara?
100%. I mean, I think there's a saying that necessity is the mother of invention, and we see at this time that entrepreneurs are really being called to be heroes, to develop solutions, to address pressing challenges of society. So it's an exciting time, challenging, but exciting nonetheless.
Necessity is the mother of all invention is something that we've always kind of laughed about, and we've never really thought about what it truly means. But now we need our entrepreneurs to be heroes. And that brings me to our hero moment, or what we like to call your hero moment. And I've always said real entrepreneurship is the ability to find solutions to existing problems, especially in this part of the world where we face our socio-economic problems, you know, head on. So it's so refreshing that, you know, entrepreneurship is actually in the hands of our young, you know, Africans. Taking on the responsibility to change the continent is what we live for. They are the true business heroes, I have to say. We're joined by Strive Masiyiwa, who will throw some light on being innovative, especially in times of crises. At a time like now, the Tanyas of the world are absolutely imperative. Tanya, you're welcome to your hero moment. Let's talk about being innovative through crises.
Well, thank you to you both, and thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed the talk that was just before me, and I just want to say that I know my country, Zimbabwe, was one of the ones that benefited from the work of the foundation in terms of its response to COVID-19. So I just want to say a very big thank you to your team for what you've done.
Thank you.
And I think for all the Africans that are watching in, this is a great opportunity to just type in a thank you in the box. We don't often get to see the people who worked incredibly hard to save lives. So thank you so much. But what an incredible privilege to be in the presence of Africa's next generation of heroes. I mean, as the chairman Jack Ma said, entrepreneurs are individuals with hopes, with dreams. They're never afraid of something, and they want to create. And entrepreneurs are people who have conviction. They're men and women of character who believe that they have what it takes to make their vision a reality. And their journey is filled with days of very little sleep, with voices confidently telling them that whatever it is they're doing isn't going to work. You shower, you work, you eat, work, nap, repeat, as you can hear, I know from experience. And so I definitely agree with you, Mr. Chairman, that they are indeed heroes. So I grew up in the presence of heroes. My father is an entrepreneur, and my mother is a philanthropist who uses entrepreneurial principles to drive social change. And so I've had the joys of celebrating the wins, but more so seeing the grit, the sweat, and the passion to see whatever they start come right to the end. And when that is your home, you don't know any other life, but one where seeing every challenge is like a puzzle, where you move the pieces, you twisting and turning them until you see a complete picture. So in 2008, there was a cholera outbreak in Zimbabwe. The World Health Organization reported over 98,000 cases and reported over 4,000 deaths. Now, to put this into context for you, this is a disease that was prevalent in the United States in the 1800s. And so our foundation responded. We provided medical equipment, personnel, vaccines, you name it. And 10 years later, there was another outbreak, but this time was different. We responded differently. And this time round, the WHO only reported about 50 deaths. Now, one of the causes of cholera is drinking contaminated water. And this time the epicenter was a primary school surrounded with garbage, with sewer that was visibly flowing through the school as students were learning. And in the wake of the outbreak, we began to clean the city. We urged people in communities to come out. We had volunteers. We had over 15,000 volunteers join us on this. And this was an ongoing challenge with grave consequences that was affecting millions. But the key thing is that our campaign couldn't last forever. So that's when we started Clean City. The same way that you hail a ride on your Via app, you can actually hail a person with a truck to collect your garbage or your refuse. And so as a private sector company, we're offering a service that our local municipal has been unable to provide for decades, yet delivering quality to consumers and increasing employment opportunities and creating economic value for our nation. Clean City has now been collecting refuse from the city of Harare, covering more than 280,000 households, achieving over 3.5 million repeat collections in just less than 9 months. The company has also decommissioned more than 700 waste dump sites. So I'm sure some of you are wondering, why is she talking about cholera, cleaning cities? Clean City is a venture that emerged from a crisis. You see, understanding the challenge presented an opportunity for us. And today, with COVID-19, it hasn't been any different. Clean City has identified yet another critical service. We are now sanitizing public spaces, businesses, and homes. And once again, the exact same way that you can hail a ride, just like Uber on our Via app, you can hail a fumigator to your business or your home. So in my work, day in and day out, as a hero, since entrepreneurs have now been referred to as heroes, I get to save the day in many different ways. I'm the executive director of Delta Philanthropies. And at Delta, what we do is that we identify complex challenges that are affecting our local communities. Once we've seen what that challenge is, we design a project to address it in a lean and sustainable way. After that, we build a team and we invest. We make bold bets, and our vision is to see our communities transformed. I also serve on the board of Cassava Smart Tech, which is a leading technology company that is home to EcoShore, EcoCash, Sasai, Via Africa, and other ventures within the Econet group. And like many heroes listening in today, I am a young African female entrepreneur with a tech startup. Now, while these different roles may sound a little different, in all three, I'm in the same business. And that business is creating innovative products and services that solve problems. I am constantly astounded by some of the products that our teams have created, and I'm always excited at the opportunities. And so I'm so glad that today I get the chance to just tell you a little bit more about what we have done in terms of the ventures and the business opportunities that have emerged out of the challenges that we see in our communities. Emergent digital company Via Africa has been building a platform that helps move people and things in the digital age. Agility and ambidexterity are the underpinning principles behind Via Africa in the fourth industrial revolution, where a fusion of technologies really is blurring the lines between physical, digital, and biological spheres. So when COVID-19 began to cross borders, we had to respond. Our response was guided by two principles: digital first and people first. And it's just so incredible to hear how Alibaba experienced some of this, and we get to learn from some of the incredible lessons from pandemics and challenges that have been faced by other places. But as Africans, let's not forget, our nations locked down, and the reality is some of them locked down without a plan. 60 to 70% of the African population work in the informal sector. This means that some of our people are going to go 3 to 4 weeks without an income in a society where we don't even know whether their businesses are going to be relevant nor sustainable after the end of this pandemic. But as via logistics, we've been providing delivery of food supplies, medicines, goods and services, and even protective personal equipment. We have integrated our API with pharmacies, wholesalers, restaurants, fast food manufacturers, you name it, to ensure that while people are locked down, our nations continue to move. In Zimbabwe, we are providing transportation for doctors and nurses. One of the things that I learned was that in moments of crises where you don't even know if your business can continue nor survive, you have to look at how you can use your assets to offer services whilst doing the best that you can to contribute towards saving lives. Anyone remember the H1N1 pandemic? It was mentioned a little earlier in January 2009 in China. Well, an article stated that in 2008, the annual incremental number of e-shoppers in China was 27 million. In 2009, an additional 34 million, and it peaked in 2010 at 52 million. That is the equivalent of South Africa's entire population. So there is a new normal on the horizon. And as a hero, we have so much to think about. Because if challenges truly present opportunity to innovate, then there is no better time for us to see entrepreneurs rise up to this challenge. So as a little girl, I was often asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? My answer was always simple. I know what I don't want to be, and that was an entrepreneur. I think I had seen a little too much because entrepreneurship is probably one of the most tough occupations that people often underestimate. But there was one thing I was yet to discover, that I was born on a continent riddled with social, economic, and environmental challenges. And that if I as much as stood a chance at changing the world in an impactful and sustainable way, I would one day become an entrepreneur. I started my venture Simba Education whilst I was in college after hearing concerning statistics about children's ability to access quality education. You know, when I heard the statistic at first, I was a little detached. But then I woke up to the realization that every day that I knew that this problem existed and that I did nothing, that was one more child who looked exactly like me, who didn't have any opportunities. And so I know some of you who are listening in today are just starting out. And I spoke a lot about what our major company and our family business, Econet Wireless, Cassava Smart Tech, have been doing in the wake of this pandemic. But for some of you who are holding an idea that you know has great potential, let's have a little heart-to-heart. Start lean, start small, and put in the work. I mentioned a little earlier about why I think entrepreneurs really are heroes. But if you haven't yet experienced sleepless nights, where you go 3 days sitting in the same spot trying to make your business happen, then you haven't yet reached the apex of being an entrepreneur. So put in the work. The second thing is start with the resources you have. You know, sometimes when I see the work that the Jack Ma Foundation are doing, they really don't have to. And when we hear the stories of some of the entrepreneurs that have graced the stage, from Fred Swanica to my father, Strive Masiyiwa, to the chairman himself, they started with so little resources, which tells us that it is possible to start with what you have. And so right now, wherever you're sitting, I know that you have time, you have passion, you have compassion, you have skills, and you have a wealth of knowledge and experience that is available to you that you can learn from and even start from. My next one is be the best. Being an entrepreneur actually means being the best at delivering the product or service or idea that you've come up with. In other words, it means being that A student, being the Oscar winner, and being the state champion, but with Your trophy is going to be that moment that you take your product and meet someone who's willing to pay for it. The next thing that I will close off with in terms of my heart-to-heart talk with our new entrepreneurs is celebrate the small wins. because the world is not going to call you an entrepreneur until they see some massive successful venture. You are the one who is going to see in yourself what the world is yet to see. And so my hope and prayer today is that you join me as a hero, and for some of you as a female entrepreneur, and the entrepreneurs who bravely took the stage last year to make their ventures a reality and take them to the next level. So to the heroes of today, seize every challenge, because therein lies your opportunity, and seize every opportunity like the one today, because some opportunities only last for a moment. Thank you.
Tanya, thank you so much. And, you know, before you leave us, I just want to say, you know, of course, last week, and, you know, Zara, you know this, a few months before, a few weeks leading up to this, of course, we advertised that your father, Strive Masiyiwa, would join us. You know, I'm listening to you and I'm saying, well, as much as I really respect the chairman of Econet, I'm glad you also, or you have this story to tell, because they say that heroes don't necessarily kind of fly in with capes. Sometimes the hero is just someone who's identified their true passion, who's able to plug in and make the difference. So we celebrate you for being a hero. Well, we like to call a shiro. We celebrate you for being a shiro in that regard. And thank you so much for your powerful words of advice. I take it and I wear it on my shoulder. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tanya, for joining us.
Thank you.
You know, Zara, the beauty of a few things that she said, which is, you know, start small, kind of take 2 steps back and look at the real problem so you can plug in, just really do resonate with a lot of entrepreneurs across board. And that would have been a very powerful thing, or it is a very powerful thing for our entrepreneurs, particularly the ones who are watching this webcast, to plug in on. But as programs manager, what do you see as some of the most exciting elements of the Africa Business Heroes program?
Sure, thanks, Anita. And before I answer, I think I would just like to say, I think, you know, Tanya in so many ways demonstrates a lot of the values that we look out for. As Jason mentioned, we aim to be inclusive. So we are open to all ages, to all sectors, and to both genders. And we strongly encourage female entrepreneurs to apply. And so I think having Tanya share her very inspiring story, I think is so powerful to really hopefully motivate a lot of people to think they too can be a hero and can be on stage, receive this grant, but beyond that, and I think it goes to answering your question, for us as a team, we see this program as being far more than just the receipt of a big check, as substantial as it might be. We really see this as an opportunity to grow alongside our entrepreneurs, to have them develop. And I think for us, it has been absolutely rewarding to see how many of them have taken the grants that they receive to further impact the communities that they serve in. And I think you heard from Tanya's speech as well. She's talking about businesses that are impacting lives, and that's something we look out for. And many of our entrepreneurs, since the grand finale in November, have gone on to expand their businesses, hire more people, but importantly, to find more innovative ways, more impactful ways to bring services and solutions to the communities that they serve. And so I think that has just been absolutely rewarding to track their journeys and to support them, connecting them to a range of resources, whether it's mentors, whether it's learning resources from the Alibaba Global Initiatives. And it's been honestly just really fulfilling. And I think for us, it's that post-prize development, actually seeing them take their ideas to the next level.
I think in taking their ideas to the next level, or in you as ANPI also helping them take their business to the next level, it also breeds a lot of hope. It spreads hope.
Indeed.
You know, a lot of young people are sitting in their homes, etc., kind of rethinking or trying to think about how they can be efficient, you know, how they can weigh in on the change of our continent. And you see, I bring you to one such person, Mahmoud of J Palm, and he, in this video, talks about his journey since November. And I have to say, Mahmoud, congratulations to you. You are absolutely inspirational. Take a look.
When we started the business, the idea was to be able to create opportunities for farmers to thrive and inspire other young people that it is possible for us as young Africans to have big ideas, to go out and implement those things and to make it happen. My name is Mahmoud Mahmoud Johnson. I am the founder and CEO of J Palm Liberia. In Liberia, palm trees grow everywhere. Palm trees grow like grass, but smallholder farmers have really not been able to maximize value for this precious resource, because the challenge that they have is that they have to use their hands to extract the palm oil because they don't have access to machines. And so what J-Palm does is we work with smallholder farmers in communities who provide access to machines that enable them to increase their production. Now we've created a market for the palm kernels where we buy the kernels from the farmers, and we use these oils to create a range of skin and hair care products. We have everything from shampoos to conditioners, lotions, moisturizers. And the beautiful thing about this model is the fact that it is all sustained locally. More than 99% of our sales are all local here in Liberia. Technology has been absolutely instrumental to our work as a company. Technology for us was actual hardware, actual simple mobile mills, so that smallholder farmers can double their yields while reducing that processing time by about 90%. Almost all aspects of our business we use technology, from marketing and sales, from sourcing. As it is now, more than 80% of our sales come through social media, and that's growing very rapidly. I decided to apply to ANPI for financing, but the second reason I decided to apply for ANPI is because I fundamentally believe in the mission for the prize, which is to be able to share African business heroes' stories. The ANPI has impacted our business in several very important ways in terms of just expanding our supply chain. Now we have more than 500 jobs, close to 1,000 farmers across different communities, and these farmers are able to grow their incomes by more than 250%. We've been able to expand to 10 new communities in addition to the communities we're already working in. So this makes me happy because what really drives me is seeing the impact that we've been able to create, and being able to go out and meet the farmers and see how these machines are making a difference for them.
The continent by being so innovative. But let me just take you back to November 2019. You know, the continent was riddled with excitement. These young men and women were on stage, they were picking up their checks, and things have indeed changed for them. We're joined today by Temi of Life Bank, and I remember that moment when Temi grabbed her check. We're also joined by Waleed of Get Mom, and he's dialing in, joining us from Egypt. Kevin of Uzurike and Y is joining us from Rwanda. Chibuzo is joining us all the way from Nigeria as well. And of course, Chibuzo is at the helm of Drugstock. And Malay of Africa is joining us from La Côte d'Ivoire. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad you're joining us. Let me go to you, Temi. Let's start off with you. $250,000 must have changed so much for you, so much for Life Bank. But before you tell us exactly what that journey has been like, just remind us that moment as you stood on stage hearing your name, Temi. What went through your mind, your entire being?
Wow. It was really, really fantastic. I didn't know what to make of the fact that my name was called. I didn't really actually expect it. First to be top 3. I was like, wow. And then we went through the questions and answers. I felt like the other 2 folks were really strong in how they sort of responded to the judges. And I thought maybe 3, and I was really happy to just be, the 3rd. So when I was called as the winner, I was completely shocked, but elated, and I, prepared a lot for the prize. I had practiced. I'd been building that business for 4 years with, very little amount of recognition. So I was very excited, and I didn't let go of that check all night.
You wanted to make sure it wasn't just a very good dream. But give us an update. What's been going on with you, Temi? Wonderful moment.
Right. So what we've been doing is really basically growing the business. Like you saw during the pitch, we are trying to rescue women in childbirth, women who bleed or lead children under the age of 5, who need oxygen, etc. And what we've been doing since the prize is just continue to do that. There was a lot of attention in the beginning, and we were very glad to have that attention, but we didn't let that sort of distract us. We focused on what we're all about, which is continuing to rescue people, continuing to build our business, and continue to grow and become a truly pan-Nigerian business. So we've since launched in multiple other markets. We're working on launching in different countries now. We're very close to launching in Kenya until COVID-19 happened. But the goal is to just grow, continue to rescue people across the continent.
Tammy, the sentence "I was just about to" and then COVID happens seems to be everybody's, sentence, I would say, the preempting sentence to what you could have done. But I want to celebrate you on what you are doing. I can see even on social media that LifeBank has jumped right to the forefront of the crises. Tell us a little bit about that, since you're, of course, in the medical industry in Nigeria.
Right. We're hospital people. We want to support our frontline health workers with all the things they need to make sure that they can deliver the best care for everybody, but specifically now for COVID-19 patients. So the first thing we did is, once COVID entered Nigeria, we said, how do we respond? How do we empower our healthcare workers? How do we make sure that they have everything they need to continue to deliver services to patients? So first thing we did was, we said, where are the ventilators? Where are the respirators? Where are the ICU beds? Can we create a register of these materials in the private sector, so that when the public sector does need it, and in Nigeria, it's the public sector looking after the COVID-19 patients, we can make sure that they have an asset register that is countrywide and that is useful specifically in treating COVID-19 patients. So that was the first thing we did. And then we thought, we need to make sure that people who are in line, particularly in pharmacies, can stay, comply with the social distancing rule. So we then put a product we call Safer Circle that allows people, when there's, in queues, can also maintain social distancing. That was also fantastic. We distributed to pharmacies, to hospitals, and people really loved that. The final thing we then did was, like everybody says about COVID-19, testing. It's really critical to test people and find out who's the carrier of this virus. So what we then did was, we basically worked to build a drive-through testing facility here in Nigeria. We were the first team to build it. We partnered with our government. We set up the drive-through facility in Nigeria, and we've been able to test quite a lot of people. And that's been really fantastic. And it's been, we were able to do all of that because we have the capital available, particularly from winning the prize.
Temi, I'm so happy that we've been able to have this conversation. Also for you to motivate a lot of young people who might be working on their smaller companies to jump in and wear their capes. And I think you've just done that. Thank you so much, Temi. And now, so let me go over to Waleed. Waleed, we're speaking about companies having to adapt to COVID-19. Everybody had a big plan. Now, Get Mom is a virtual cafeteria. How have you adapted, to the current crises? And what do you think other SMEs can learn from your experience, Waleed?
Yes, thank you for the question. So with our virtual cafeteria, over the past 2 weeks, we've had our subscribers just stop their subscription one day after the other. We now have 0 subscribers to our virtual cafeteria, actually. But how we've handled this is that we've looked at this as an opportunity with the changes that are happening. So we've done a number of things. First of all, we've moved most of our resources into focusing on more consumer front end. We've done all the precautions of having contactless deliveries and building family-sized meals for people that are sitting at home. And as well, we launched a new category because that's called ready to cook. It's basically frozen food that you can put in the oven yourself and you cook yourself, because there is an understanding for the consumer that the virus might be transmitted by food. We understand that there's a very slim percentage, but still it's a dogma that the consumers have. So we're building on that, and we have the frozen items that are just, you can put them in the oven, get them out, and have them ready, since a lot of people have already done a lot of grocery shopping, but they're bored with just cooking every day. So we've done that. It's building up, and we believe there's going to be another source of revenue that will sustain us not only in these times, but as well after the Corona epidemic and lockdown is down. Let me just point out that what really helped us, and I'll go to another point, which is the help that so these are a lot of ideas. In order for us to get there, we went and looked at the Alibaba AGI program, with the sessions that happen with different entrepreneurs and CEOs from China and around the world. And we got to really learn how the different businesses adapt to that. We've listened very well to that, and we've adapted our business to the situation to basically survive.
You know, Walid, I was just going to say, you literally turn things around very quickly. And it feels like an entrepreneur doesn't necessarily have time to stop and daydream and think. An entrepreneur has to act quickly. And what I gather from you is also being part of ANPI almost prepared you for that very quick, swift action, did it not?
Yes, indeed. First of all, I was very much inspired by the other participants, that the other top 10. I feel blessed that Mom was part of this cohort. I've learned a lot about their businesses, and as well being connected with the larger ecosystem that's being provided out there and the wealth of information. Honestly, I felt like we are 2 months ahead of everyone in terms of thinking, because of the communication with the larger ecosystem of Alibaba and understanding what's happening in China. Give us maybe an edge over understanding what will come up and what are the policies that are going to happen in order to adapt our business online. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Walid, for joining us. Kevin, you're right here as well. You won that money. You have put it to great and powerful use. Tell us about your post-prize journey. How's it been, Kevin?
Hi, Anita. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here in everyone's presence. How? It has been a great journey since January up to now. I mean, we had already started to expand our business in terms of the creative space and the production, because we're in shoemaking and we are creating different lines of shoes, and we are also training several young people from our communities to learn the art of shoemaking and actually create a job out of it by themselves. Some of them have even created their own small businesses. We have also, invested in retail so that we can sell products to diverse diverse demographics. We have also, of course, used the ANP as an opportunity to connect with other people. For example, we're now on Africrea, which is a platform for small businesses like mine, and we are doing very well there. Of course, there are some challenges that we're going to solve really, really quickly, but now it's Africrea, another e-commerce platform that we joined in our own small online platform we created a year ago, are the sole revenue of our company right now, because our businesses are an extension. I feel like I'm talking about businesses that don't really stand into, blood or patients support or anything like that. I'm talking about companies that really employ a lot of people at the same time, but also are non-essential. For on our side, we have really tried to push selling online, and every single day I'm really, really crying every time I see a another, or my business people see, or my team see another, it's really a blessing to see that people are still supporting this, and we have really created content online to help people learn more about the business. Before that, we had also created another retail offline outlets in the city of Kigali. We're also really close to be in Nairobi, which we're gonna do either way. And we have done so much regarding training our teams, and even now, right now, they are also still following online courses and learning. We didn't fire anyone, which is really a good thing, because most of the people in our community, they were like, oh, we have to fire employees because we cannot pay them. So I'm glad that we're able to detain all of our employees and up to date. I hope that we can do it at the end of the lockdown at the end. Also, it's really not new for me to be part of a crisis. I was born in 1991, 1994, November 1991. Pretty much I was 2 years old in 1994. My parents died then. So at 2 years old, I was already pretty much on my own and my siblings. So I grew up to create this company that is celebrated locally and internationally, and I'm really happy to continue staying strong and also being part of ANPI last year, which was really a great deal for me. I feel like it has played a role in boosting my confidence to continue doing what I do and continue creating change in my community no matter what.
And Kevin, is it safe to say that having to really be creative, having to take care of yourself, having to be resilient, and I would honestly say so self-reliant, prepared you for this industry, this space called entrepreneurship, prepared you to dominate this space?
I would say that it was part of who I am today, definitely a small part of it, but I would also say that I come from a really good country that encourages just young women to do anything they can do, that anybody can do, to dream farther than what we have today. So when I look at my business, I don't only see it in Rwanda, which is a very small market. I also see it on AliExpress. I see it on Africa, bigger than what it is today. I see it on so many platforms. We have been working on a German market-based platform as well. So there's so many things that really played a role in making me who I am as an entrepreneur. But of course, coming where I come from plays a pretty big role as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kevin. And I would say you are absolutely in great company, because you did mention Africa, and Mulaya is right after you. Thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us. Mulaya, I mean, hey, you have created an opportunity for entrepreneurs like Kevin to be more than who they ever dreamt to be by providing a platform, Africa. Now, things are changing very quickly around the world. How are you adapting?
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you, Kevin, for the shout out. It's a pleasure to be here and be able to help such talented people. So basically, what can we do in this opportunity? Yes, like Kevin said, e-commerce is probably the last frontier in this specific situation, where contact has become complicated to implement and risky for everyone. So for sure, in this sense, we have a responsibility to be able to sustain the solutions that we propose for everyone. For example, by shipping, like Kevin mentioned, we work with DHL, and DHL is one of the few last provider that still ship everywhere except Nigeria right now. I'm very sorry to hear that, but Nigeria is the only country for which they had to stop at some point. But they still allow people to ship worldwide, so to still manage to keep up their business. And that's very important for us to be able to, despite the situation, keep the business going. And maybe, when I say to my sellers and people on my platform, pretty much like Walid said, this can be an opportunity. Because anyways, we cannot, there is not much we can do except see the opportunity where there is a crisis. And for instance, I always tell my people that there has never been a time where people are as much on social network as now. Everybody is connected all the time. So there is an opportunity more than ever to connect with people and to share what you do, who you are, because even if you're not able to go to your office, to your craft shop, or to showcase your product, you can still showcase who you are. What are your values? What is your story? This is the time for people to actually get to know you, get to know your story. And I believe, yeah, the best example is how many live of Instagram you have every night going on now on the social network. So yeah, it's an opportunity for every entrepreneur to get to share who they are and what they do.
Thank you so much. Very important words of advice, because we do have over, what, now 2,500 people around the continent listening to this conversation. And I think even more now, the conversation about hope has to be passed down to them. But in hope, you have to be creative. You have to give the continent something. So thank you very much for those words.
No problem. My pleasure. I try to live by them myself. So we're all in this together.
You are exemplary. Thank you so much. And I bring the conversation to Chibuzo. Now, Chibuzo, your company, Drugstock, is a cloud-based pharmaceutical company that supplies medicines to pharmacies and hospitals across Nigeria, which means this is a very busy time for you. But tell me, during this time, companies like yours are playing completely critical roles. Tell us about what Drugstock is doing.
So basically, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to the Jack Ma Foundation for the amazing, protective gear that was shipped to Africa and that came to Nigeria. I think it came at a very opportune time. Initially, everybody in Nigeria, at least I don't know about the rest of Africa, was sort of like, this might pass us by, the weather, all sorts of stories, and we sort of, within the AGI crowd had sort of, got like a 2-month head start on what was happening, and we had learned a lot. So right at the beginning, our company, we had taken a 3-pronged approach. What are we doing about our employees and our immediate team to ensure that throughout the crisis we can keep working? And then the second thing was, what are we doing for our customers and our immediate stakeholders who are, who benefit from the supply chain, whether upstream or downstream. And then the third thing was, what are we doing for the community and how are we preparing for this? And these were, lessons that it's not like we were extremely smart. It's just, from listening to what other people were saying. Now, with regards to staff, we had prepared for a lockdown. We rented a place beside the operation center where people wouldn't have to go home and come back, and they would essentially do shifts in the operation center in terms of the product, so keep the supply chain going even longer. That was the first thing for the employees. And then the rest of the team had to work from home. With regards to our stakeholders and our clients, we sort of realized that we have a very interesting matrix for care in Nigeria and a lot of sub-Saharan Africa. So a lot of the world, right, have this either centralized purchasing systems for healthcare or centralized health insurance systems. In a lot of Africa, I can speak for Nigeria, it's not usually the case. And typically what happens is that healthcare providers have to sort of source for stuff on their own. So we realized this, and then the prices were jumping by about 1,000% on the market for these protective gear. So very quickly we started to support our clients by offering them these PPEs and whatever masks we could find on the market. Just literally just went around, bought up everything we could get and just distributed it to our clients to be like, listen, this was early February, and we're like, listen, the international supply chains are drying up. Here is this, manage it for the next 3-4 months. We don't know what's happening. Initially, everybody thought we were a bit crazy, and they were like, you guys are over panicking. But, fast forward to now, and people are like, oh, they do remember us, and they're quite happy about the fact that we did that. For the community at large, we're working with the NCDC and the rest of the partners to ensure that we can also expand this distribution of protective equipment and the others, to the rest of the country. It's not been an easy time, I'd say, because a lot of healthcare professionals are scared. That's one, and it's quite interesting about the situation is a bit tense around that. But then there's been a lot of people who I'd say I like to tell people that it's fine and dandy that all 10 of us are recognized as the heroes, but our actual heroes are our employees, who trust what we say and actually step out of the line and achieve certain things. That even sometimes when my employee comes back with a solution, I'm like, I really don't know how you did it, but well done, and I'm really happy that you're able to do that. Yeah. So I'd just like to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all our employees, all our supporters, all our families, all our friends. Thank you to the Jack Ma Foundation, and thank you for giving us this platform to, show Africa that this can be done. And we shouldn't just sit back and, just say, this is Africa. Yes, it is Africa, and let's solve our problems. Thank you.
Chibuzo, thank you so much for your honesty, for your openness. And, you talked a little bit about, being crazy, but I think the real entrepreneurs are the ones who are absolutely crazy and the ones who take the biggest risks. And you're one of them. Thank you so much, Chibuzo, for joining us. So, Zara, we've heard these outstanding stories. I mean, these are young men and women that ANPI was able to bring to the forefront through winning that money, or each of them winning their checks last year in November. And to hear where they were and where they are now, how do you feel hearing these stories, Zara?
Like I mentioned, this is definitely one of the most rewarding parts of the program. And it's just exciting to see how they've grown. It's inspiring. And I hope that many of the attendees who are watching this also take the opportunity to apply. And on that point, the applications are actually open.
Yes,
they open today at 3 p.m.
live.
GMT. So take a chance to look through the application. And I think it might be worthwhile to take a few questions that we've received.
Okay.
We'll have a whole section on how to apply coming up, but a few that are worth covering right now.
Absolutely.
People have asked whether well-established businesses can apply. Yes, most certainly. We have a requirement for businesses to be 3 years old at the very least. A few people have also asked whether if they applied last year, can they apply again? Of course, we're more than happy to receive applicants from candidates who submitted applications last year. And so we highly welcome you, and stay tuned for more details. We'll definitely explore all the modalities around how to apply coming up.
Fantastic. And I just want to ask also one question coming to you, Zara, is, well, this person says, sending us a message from Los Angeles, and says, I'm so happy that you've also opened up the application to French speakers as well. What about the diasporans? Can we also apply if our businesses are based in Africa or for Africa?
That's a very good question. If the businesses are registered and headquartered in Africa and operated in Africa, yes, you can apply. Our requirements are that the applicants should be founder or co-founder, and they should either have citizenship themselves or be the direct descendant of an African citizen. So if your parent or grandparents has African citizenship, you can apply. And so yes, open technically to diasporans, so long as their businesses are actually registered and operated here. And I think on the note of French, another question that came up was whether or not people can apply in French. And like Jason mentioned earlier, this year we've actually fully catered to candidates from the Francophone Africa region. So applicants can apply in French, they can submit the application in French. If they go on the website, africabusinessheroes.org, they can select an option to change the whole thing to French and submit the application in the language they're most comfortable with.
I'm so warm with this question that has also just come up. And someone says, one of my most admirable entrepreneurs in this is Christelle, but I didn't see you having a conversation with her, Anita. Where is Christelle? That is also, Christelle, you're a superstar. But ironically, Christelle is probably, I would say, well, we kind of put her in a video, but Christelle is also coming up ironically, but her conversation also kind of is around how quickly she's been able to respond to COVID-19 and how exemplary her effort is. I think her effort is exemplary, and I need you to take a look at it. Imagine if all of Africa had access to water. Christelle, let's take a look at this video.
Hi, greetings from beautiful Rwanda. I am so thrilled to be speaking to you as last year's finalist, but also because today we're launching the second year of the African Entrepreneur Prize. I mean, it's the second year and many more years to come. So I'm really excited, even as we go through this crisis with coronavirus. I know a few of you are on lockdown and quarantine. it's kind of really nice for us to be able to gather today around one of the potential solutions to the problems we're seeing all over the world and in Africa, because entrepreneurs have the power to bring powerful solutions to life. So I hope today I will be able to share my entrepreneurship journey, my journey to winning, being one of the finalists in the first Africa Business Heroes show, and also what happened to me afterwards. And hopefully along the way, you'll catch on tips and tricks to help your application this year so you can be one of the winners. So I started my company, Water Access Rwanda, in 2014 to address two big issues I saw within the African continent, those being youth unemployment and water scarcity. So we have a very simple mission: use young people as solution providers in the water sector. Now, the kind of solutions we offer are very diversified, but all focus in looking at water scarcity in Africa right now as a potential opportunity. Because yes, there is a need. Yes, many millions, hundreds of millions of Africans don't have access to clean water. And many of them, even if they have access, it is not in a convenient way. Some of them are seen more like charity cases and not as customers. So what Water Access Rwanda is doing is trying to provide a solution and do things differently. So, but when I started my company, because it started off as a summer project, I was 1 year away from graduation. And that some of you who followed the finale know, I never dreamed to be an entrepreneur. Although, you know, as a child and through my teenage years, I really was very business inclined. I never imagined I would have a career as an entrepreneur. I actually wanted to work in the space industry, but I realized there was a huge issue with clean water. I read the news one day, and there was this community in Rukumberi where people had succumbed to crocodiles in the lakes. So the only place they could get water was at these lakes, and the lakes had crocodiles, they had bacteria, and they had hard metal contaminants like lead, but it was not the full story. The full story was that at the end of the project, by the time we drilled the last borehole, the very first one was broken. So it made me question the model I had followed. And on further research, I realized this was a very common problem within rural Africa, where people who don't have water right now are seen as charity cases. And we designed projects for them to provide them clean water without thinking about convenience and long-term sustainability and return on investment on the kind of infrastructure we're installing. So when I founded the company, it was out of frustration, out of disappointment in myself, in the project we had done, but with the hope that I can take all of that and create a business that does it differently. And it took us a few years, but in 2017, we launched a water mini grid that we call Inuma. So Inuma will go to those same boreholes, usually broken, pipe the water out, and then filter that water so that it's safe to drink, safe for storage, and safe to use for anything else you want in the household. And then we pipe that water in people's homes using prepaid meters so that people don't face huge water bills they cannot afford, or the company face revenue losses from people who cannot pay for their water. So we use prepaid meters, people get water in their homes, it's convenient, and it is cheap. Every liter we sell is only $0.001 for every liter of safe to drink, ready to use water. So, and with Inuma, we're targeting to have a return on investment on the infrastructure itself, which means we can actually pull private capital investment into the water sector, which is usually seen as a charity or public domain business only. So when I first heard of the Africa Netpreneur Prize, one, I knew I was the kind of dreamer they were looking for, a person who's used business, used technology to solve a pressing need on the continent. So I knew I fit that mold, and I could recall through my different years of studying, of struggle with an autoimmune illness, of commitment to my country, to my business, I could tell I was the kind of spirit and caliber of entrepreneurs that they were looking for. But the word net in Netpreneur kind of threw me off. So, I was kind of thinking of the E-Founders program, part of Jack Ma Foundation, and I kind of, we're a technology-enabled business, but we were not a tech, your typical IT company. So I was a little bit thrown off from applying, and I remember even writing to the award organizer people to see if we were eligible to apply. So we went ahead and applied, and I mean, this application is one of the best designed competition applications you can see, because it asks you so many details about your business. But also about you as the entrepreneur. What's driving you? Why do you do what you do every day? It wants to see your customers. Why do your customers love your product or your services? What makes them choose you instead of others offering the same products or services? Your people, your employees, why do they choose to work with you instead of other companies? So these are all questions that are in the applications. You have to submit videos where you do interviews with your people, your customers, your employees, and there's also yourself as the founder, what's driving you. So the application itself was really nice. So we submitted with 10,000 others across Africa, and we made it to top 50. So that was the very first time we heard back from ANPI that we had progressed along the journey, was that we had made it to top 50. So then at top 50, we had to do video conference interviews, and then we passed that round, and then there were top 30. So at top 30, we were flown into Nairobi to meet a jury face-to-face and also meet some of the other entrepreneurs in the journey. So that was tough. I mean, meeting the other entrepreneurs, it's like you finally realize, wow, this is no joke. This is not going to be an easy win. This is a real tough competition. And I imagine this year it's going to be even tougher because the award has even got more publicity. But so we went in, I had prepared a slide of probably was like my usual pitch of 10 slides and then 50 annex slides. And I go into the jury with Fred Swanika, investors and business leaders on the continent, people I respect and admire. I was in the same room with them, and I had 30 minutes to impress them. And I mean, the questions they asked were tough, but they were good questions. And many of them were advices to me as an entrepreneur. We even coined a new word with one of the judges, Peter. He was like, so you're the utility of the future. I'd never thought about Enuma being the utility of the future, but microgrids are the future. And through that talk with the jury, I kind of even felt more excited about that work I'm doing with Water Access Rwanda. So at the end, I went out of the jury room like everybody else. I didn't know, did I do well? Did I do bad? How did everybody else? I wouldn't know until later. So the PwC came to our companies to audit us, to do a due diligence. So they asked a lot of questions. We had to submit so many documents. They went through all of this and did an assessment on the company. And actually, we received that assessment. So it's been helpful for the company as well. And then, hey, we learned that we're in top 10. So now making it to top 10, you feel like, okay, finally, I've already got my 65K at least. So it doesn't matter how, things go on from here, at least I did win some money. But beyond that, even at that stage, I could tell this competition is gonna bring immense opportunities to my business. Already in Nairobi, in the lobby of the hotel where we were staying, not only were we networking with the other entrepreneurs who were in the top 20, but you had investors hanging by. They'd heard, Jack Ma is doing something here, so they come and hang around and want to talk to us and see, which businesses are here, who's ready for investment and so on. So then, we went to Ghana, the big show, and I made it to top 3. I have to say my ambition was to come first, obviously, like many people, but it was so nice losing to the people I lost to. Honestly, everybody in the top 10, even if I didn't make it to top 3, I was just so happy that I'm losing to good people. And that shows you what kind of application this is. This is a competition that is really looking at the strength of the different businesses that are applying. It's very Pan-African in nature. It's looking at homegrown grassroots solutions to see who are the African entrepreneurs who are bringing solutions and revolutionizing Africa as we know it. And those were the people I was always in the room with. So it was very exciting. And then we came third, so I lost the last round, which is not a bad loss because I got $100,000. And let me tell you, that money has been helpful. With even the economy changing, with the world being hit by coronavirus, that money has been quite a huge addition to the company that's helping us even now. But beyond that, we were able to increase inventory. We were able to buy machines we never dreamed we would be able to buy before, just because, you know, we're always trying out there, you know, the ideas we bring forward, the fact that we're kind of public but private, you know, social enterprises, people are not ready for the kind of businesses that we are creating, but we can't wait for them to get ready, which is why this kind of competition, this kind of exposure, this kind of money really helps us move forward as a company. But the highlight for me, you know, after meeting Jack Ma and the rest of the jury and Strive and Ibukuna Oshika and Jotsai and Jet Li, who is the patron of this award. So if you've ever watched a Jet Li movie, chances are you are gonna meet him later in the year if you make it to top 10. But beyond that, we actually had the youth town hall in Rwanda, where our president, His Excellency Paul Kagame, did a town hall with me and Kevin, who was also a finalist from Rwanda, and Strive made it to that town hall. And basically, we got to sit with the president for a few minutes before the actual town hall. And then in the town hall, we got to present about our businesses, answer questions from other young people in the room with the president there. And then he went with Strive to kind of discuss about entrepreneurship in Africa, youth entrepreneurship in particular. And I mean, they were mentioning us as examples. For me, that was a big highlight and a huge affirmation for the work we've been doing. So guys, this is the time for you. This is the time for Africa. As I kept telling myself, my team, and everyone else as I went through to the different juries and present about my project, there is nothing you're going to invent along the project. It's all about you and the work you have already been doing. So you are a hero, maybe you just don't have the title yet. If you are providing a solution to problems you know are in your community, you have been living for this dream and struggling, trying to make ends meet from any way, you know, whatever you've tried, whatever path you have taken to get here, this is the time for you. So make sure you apply so you can come join other heroes. This is the second year of the award. They have increased the money. I can't believe this. It's now $1.5 million. So, hey, you even get to win more money than we did. So beyond the money, you will get amazing advice, amazing exposure, amazing networks that will pay you for your business for years to come. But beyond this, we are part of a new revolution. You know, we've always talked about entrepreneurs in Africa and so on. But the group of Africa Business Heroes, of Netpreneur Prize winners, we're here to prove it. If you read different articles that we're releasing, all of us, many of us are involved at the forefront of the fight against COVID-19 with business solutions. So be part of that network. And I believe many of you are already providing amazing solutions. So apply, take time to really pour your heart out, talk about what you're doing, what motivates you, why do your customers love working with you, how were you able to recruit different people to work with you, put it down in the application and get recognized as an Africa Business Hero. I'm excited and I can't wait to meet all of you are gonna make it to the final round.
What would your words be, Zara?
I mean, Christelle is such a
Powerful example of the type of entrepreneurs that we look out for. And I mean, she's done such a great job of both inspiring, hopefully, prospective applicants and also highlighting what we look out for. And I'm sure many people now are actually wondering, so how do I become a hero? She has such a strong call to action to be part of this network that beyond the prize money actually supports entrepreneurs, provides them access to mentors. I think, you know, she did a fantastic job talking about the entire process, the experience of engaging with judges. And so I think at this point, we should probably tell our audience how they too can apply.
Absolutely. And first of all, you need to take a look at this video. Now take a very close look. But even beyond the video, remember that we are live. AfricaBusinessHeroes.org is live. You have a dream, you have an ambition, you have a passion. Your time is now. Take a look.
We see you, African entrepreneur, and now the world needs to see you too. Are you ready to be a 2020 ANPI Africa's Business Hero? Are you an African entrepreneur? Is your business at least 3 years old? Are you ready to pitch your business to legends and tell your story? If you said yes to all these questions, it's your turn to apply now. Follow these 5 quick, easy steps to start your journey to becoming an ANPI Business Hero. Step 1. Set up an account. Fill in your details. Click register and you are 1 step in. Step 2. Read the guidelines carefully. Just visit AfricaBusinessHeroes.org and click on Application Guide. Step 3. The criteria for eligibility. Simple. Each applicant should be a founder or co-founder of the company. The applicant has African citizenship or is a direct descendant of an African citizen. Your company has to be registered, headquartered, and operated in an African country. Your company should be at its post-idea stage. Your business should be 3 years old or more and has at least 3 years of revenue history. Step 4. Get a reference. It could be your mentor, colleague, teacher, or advisor. And finally, step 5. Submit your application. Your application includes these 5 sections: founder profile, business profile, business deep dive, awards and recognition, and a video introduction. If you get stuck at any point, don't worry. Visit our application guide and frequently asked questions for help, or send an email to info@africabusinessheroes.org. Now, it's your turn to become a 2020 ANPI Business Hero and win a share of $1.5 million, admission into the Alibaba eFounders Fellowship, access to mentorship and training, and a chance to tell your story to Africa and the world. Apply now.
Right now, we are live. Zara, we've got from now till June 9th.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, to apply. But what happens if I run into issues? What do I do?
So we have a range of resources, some of which were mentioned in the video. So for one, people can go to the website. We have an application guide that provides very detailed insights into the rationale behind some of the questions, provides tips and tricks. And so highly recommend prospective applicants check that out. We even have sample videos from last year. And so it's quite thorough. But beyond that, we also provide webinars with our partners, namely Ashesi, Dalberg, Django, and Rise Up. And these webinars aim to really provide prospective applicants a chance to deep dive and ask questions, especially on areas that they're stuck on. So that's one. And we also provide them other webinars that are more aimed at skills building. And so, for example, Ashesi has one coming up in conjunction with us, which is around design thinking during difficult times. And so we hope that these webinars both give them very practical advice around how they go through this extensive application, as Christelle pointed out, but also helps them navigate the times that we're in.
You know, the judges alone are able to inspire you to apply. Because if you look at judges who have, gone down the trail or who blazed the trail, you're more inspired to say, you know what, I would like to follow in his or her footsteps. So tell us a little bit about the judges.
Thank you. That's a great question, because I think a question that we get from prospective applicants is, what are the benefits if I don't make it to the top 10? And I think you answered it. It's the judges. We have such an amazing pool of judges who are able, through their dialogue, through the feedback that they give applicants, through the questions that they ask, really provide applicants with deep insights, ask thought-provoking questions that help them strengthen their own ideas, help them strengthen the way they think about their businesses. And Christelle pointed some of these out. For example, she was saying that with Peter Orth, he coined a term like, you're the utility of the future. And so we pulled together a really fantastic pool of judges who are established business leaders, renowned global leaders, business professionals. And today I'm so happy that we're joined by one of such judges, our semi-finale judge, Fred Swanica, who is the founder of Africa Leadership Group, which includes African Leadership University, African Leadership Network, African Leadership Academy, and which really aims to raise up a crop of African leaders who can both build the future that we need and that we're all looking forward to.
Yeah. And Fred has joined us now. Fred, how's it going with you?
Very well, thanks. Nice to be on the show.
Lovely to have you here. Fred, you know what? I'm not sure that a lot of the young people who are either watching us or who are going to be applying have seen the world turn the way it has turned right now. But you are completely celebrated for thinking ahead of time. What can entrepreneurs today literally learn from you and your experience of preparing for the future?
Well, I think one thing that all entrepreneurs need to be ready for, there's a famous quote from Mike Tyson who says, you can have a plan, but the minute you get punched in the face, that plan has gone out of the way. And so entrepreneurs need to be agile, they need to be adaptable, they need to be ready to roll with the punches as the world changes, like what's happening right now with the coronavirus. So, what I would say is that whatever plan you have, you need to go back to the drawing board and reimagine the future. Think about what the world is going to look like after the coronavirus and start to reset your plan so that you can re-emerge stronger and actually thrive, because in every crisis, there's also an opportunity.
Fred, let's take off the layers off of this, onion called, entrepreneurship, and let's look at the core, the key traits, the skills. What, in your view, must an African business hero possess?
Well, I think that an African business hero needs to have a few qualities. Number one is passion. So when I'm a judge and I'm looking at the potential candidate, I want to see, do they have fire in their belly? Is there a light burning brightly in their eyes? Because it's hard to be an entrepreneur. So that passion is what's going to take you through all the ups and downs. The second thing I'm looking for is traction. Because in Africa, there are a lot of talkers, but there are not enough doers. So have you actually done something and built your business, or are you still just talking? The third thing I'm looking for is imagination. Are you doing something that's out of the ordinary? Is there innovation in what you're doing, or are you just copying someone else? Number four, I'm looking at your team. Are you a one-man show or a one-woman show, or do you have some really great people around you? Because you can't achieve anything great by yourself. Number five, I'm looking at scalability. Can you really grow this thing and expand it to many customers? And then finally, I'm looking at your business model. Do you have a clear pathway to make money, or is this something that is going to be dependent on funders forever? So those are some of the things that I believe that the heroes of African business need to have.
So our entrepreneurs are already, going to start applying any moment now. Do you have any advice for these young men and women who want to become ANPI finalists? I would say, what are the key things that they should keep in mind?
The first thing I would say is just go for it, because fortune really favors the bold. So don't sit on the sidelines. Now's your time to get in the game and be a player. The second thing I'd say is that the continent needs you to step up right now. We've had different kinds of leaders over the last few decades as a continent. We had a generation of leaders who brought us independence. They were the political freedom fighters who the battle they were fighting was for independence. What the continent needs now is a generation of economic freedom fighters, people who are going to bring us economic liberation. And entrepreneurs, therefore, are those the liberation heroes of our time. And so really, I challenge anyone who has ideas to step up, because entrepreneurs at the end of the day are problem solvers. And right now we have a lot of problems in Africa, so you're needed more now than ever. And the final thing
Go ahead, Fred, please.
No, the final thing I'll say is just in terms of advice for entrepreneurs. There's never been a better time to start a business, because starting a business in a downturn like we have right now means it's much cheaper for you to hire talent. Marketing channels are much cheaper as well. Real estate is much cheaper. So it's an exciting time to start a business. But I also encourage people to think virtually, because in the world that we're in, we need to think about our global markets, and that's why connections to something like Alibaba is so exciting, because you can build products in Africa and sell them globally, especially now that people are much more open to buying globally. And so, how do we create e-commerce entrepreneurs in Africa and build things like the Taobao village that you see in China and Africa? I think this is really an exciting time for us right now.
Thank you very much, Fred. But, Fred, I was going to say you are a trailblazing entrepreneur yourself, having built ALC and ALU, and you're talking about fire in your belly. I want you to take me back to that moment when you realized a continent could do with such an organization or an ecosystem as you created. Describe this fire in your belly and what was it supposed to create at the time when you started?
Well, I'm originally from Ghana, but I've grown up and lived in about 10 different countries in Africa: Gambia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, South Africa. And so what that did is it lit in me a passion for Africa. And everywhere I went, I realized that we have tremendous potential, but the number one obstacle to achieving our potential was that we didn't have enough good leaders and entrepreneurs. So, at the end of the day, entrepreneurs are driven by wanting to solve problems. So something that, really upsets you or inspires you is often the cause of your inspiration. And so that's what got me to say, let's actually, instead of just hoping that we get good leaders by accident, can we create a manufacturing system for finding exceptional young people, developing them, and then connecting them to other opportunities so that they can become great entrepreneurs and leaders that the continent needs.
And Fred, finally, any advice for young entrepreneurs, well, young or old, actually, there's no age limit, but any entrepreneur who is thinking that COVID has just thrown me off my plan for 2020 and I absolutely have no choice, what advice would you give that entrepreneur in these trying times?
Well, I think in these trying times, you need to look at 4 things. Number 1 is people. Number 2 is customers. Number 3 is cash. And number 4 is strategy. So on the people side, you need to make sure that you are keeping your people safe, because this is the time in which you can't afford to lose your team, and at the end of the day, your people are your greatest asset. Second thing, on the customer side, are you adapting to meet your customers where they are? So if your customers are staying at home, then have you moved your business online as well? So you have to be adaptable and agile. Third thing is cash. You need to really look at how do you cut as many costs as possible and increase your balance sheet. You need to plan for it being a tough time economically for 2 to 3 years. So make sure you've got a lot of cash in the bank. And then finally, strategy. So one of the things that we've done in the African Leadership Group is for the last week and a half, we paused the entire organization to just really think and really study what's going on in the world and look at what's going to happen after the coronavirus and reposition ourselves so that we can emerge stronger after the virus and really turn challenges into opportunities. And that's really what it means to be an entrepreneur. You got to be agile and adaptable all the time, because the only thing you can be certain about is that your plan is not going to work according to what you thought.
Anita, thank you so much for joining this application launch. And we absolutely look forward to also meeting you and sending you all those applications. We trust you will do it justice 100%. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to reading all the great applications.
All right, Fred, thank you so much. Zara, so we are here. We've launched. The online application is fired up, africasbusinessheroes.org. Please write it down, write it on your wall, write it on the carpet, write it everywhere. So that moment when you start feeling like, oh, should I apply, you are reminded. But we've also got quite a number of questions coming in, and it's imperative that we answer some of them, maybe not all. So we've got Mahmoud is joining us to help answer the questions. You saw him earlier. We also have Jason. Jason is also joining us to answer some questions. Yes. And we've got you, Zara, and of course, we've got Omar as well. So let's go to some of the questions that have come in here on my tablet. Jason, the first question is to you. Now, there are quite a lot of entrepreneur initiatives in Africa. Jason, the question coming to you is, what makes Jack Ma Foundation's ANPI unique? Thank you so much. That question came from Togo.
What makes us unique? Well, I mean, I think the first thing, which is a bit obvious, is the prize money is probably one of the highest amounts out there. But really, it's more than that. A few things. One is I don't know if there's any other prize out there for entrepreneurs that is agnostic of industry and Pan-African, and also now both available in French. So in terms of inclusivity, I think we're probably one of the broadest prizes for the continent. not for the world. Here's another really interesting aspect of our prize too is we're doing it in a show format, and there isn't any other prize that I'm aware of in the world that is in a show format that is not a TV show commercial type initiative. And so that is very, very unique. If you've watched some of the footage from last year, you'll realize that we do spend a lot of time and effort to not only put you in front of people like Jack Ma and Strive and others, but we spend a lot of time to produce it into content that people want to watch. And so that is very unique. It wouldn't be surprising if this year's winners are televised across 54 different countries in Africa on TV, so people at home are watching your story and you're inspiring others. So those are some of the ways that I think we're different.
Thank you so much, Jason. And I've got a message, a question to you, Omar, actually. Omar, I've seen your work on social media, and I know that you are running a private research center in the MENA region. Congratulations for that. Well, congratulations to you, Omar. The question to you, Omar, is what is the most rewarding part of your journey to become an ABH finalist, and why would you recommend this prize for others?
Okay, so let me start by thanking you again for having me tonight. I'm so excited with this launch of the next 2020 ANPI round. I would say the epicenter of excitement when I was sitting on one table with Jack Ma and business legends. And I have to confess, I was the first one to sit on the table. We didn't know that we're going to sit on the table. So the guys played a trick on us. Yes, so they told us we are going into a second round of selection, but they didn't say a word what this round is going to be. And then I was told, Omar, go ahead and sit on the table. I said, okay, I'm ready to get the questions. And then the mic was passed to me, and I had to ask them questions. This was absolutely crazy. And I guess the question that I spoke was the one I had in my heart. I thought if I have one shot, so I asked those guys, please give me one advice that I will mark it by heart and keep it for the 10 coming years. The quote that was taken viral in the videos, because I spoke it from my heart eventually. And they gave it to me. So I got actual, very honest advice that I'm already living by for my company. So my couple of words to anyone who's joining this here is, beside the money you might be getting or you might not be getting, you will gain, in my point of view, three main things. First is an amazing panel of judges and mentors and an experience you will get throughout the successive selections. And I can tell you a couple of the judges that I met are investors that were now negotiating on joining us as investors. So it's amazing. Second point is opening your eyes on potentials that you have not seen before. I also have to confess that sadly and unfortunately, we in North Africa are somehow detached from the rest of Africa. During ANPI last year, I had the chance to go through several African countries and meet amazing people from different African countries. And I changed my whole business plan 100%. I saw the opportunity, and it was massive. It was massive. And as I go from one stage to the next, I upgraded my business plan to go more into Africa. Third is the networking and the PR. You will be featured through so many channels. You will be meeting so many celebrities. When I came back to Egypt, I was invited to give the, a little speech at the opening ceremony of the biggest Egyptian African event. It's called the Africa Investment Forum, in front of the Egyptian president and very high VIP delegates. So you can tell what happens next. More than 30 TV interviews, 100 journals coming to your place, and it's all just for joining the ANPI. So it's definitely worth it. Either you get the money or not the money. There's a lot of value that I have to say outweigh the money.
Oh, wow. That is quite the endorsement, Omar. Thank you so much. So I have a question for Mahmoud. Do you have any questions, Zara? So may I go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay, Mahmoud, the question for you coming through my console is, what was the most challenging part of the application for you, and how did you address that challenge, Mahmoud?
The most challenging aspect of the application process, I must say, was when we got to Accra and we had to stand in front of the judges to pitch our businesses. And I mean, I've been doing this for more than, at that point, I've been doing it for more than 6 years, live this every day. And so to distill all of that into a 5-minute pitch was the most difficult part, because there's just so many aspects to the business. But ultimately, I decided really that for me, the reason why I do this business and the reason why I continue to carry it forward is because really I want to be able to inspire a sort of new generation of young people, both in my country, Liberia, but also across Africa, that regardless of what your background is, regardless of where you were born, regardless of who your parents are, that it is possible for us to be able to have big dreams, and it is possible for us to go out and implement those dreams. And so for me, it was very important to not just tell the story of the business, but to also tell my personal story within the context of the Liberian story and also within the context of the African business story. And that was very important for me to do. And I decided that, I would take a risk and tell my own personal story and how it ties into why I do what I do. And hopefully that inspires other young people out there. But I also chose to bring my mom's story into that as well, to also inspire other moms out there, maybe the other young people out there who have children that is how to raise those children. I really wanted them to understand the huge role that they play in shaping us, and maybe to inspire them that all hope is not lost, and it is possible for you to see your child grow up and do bigger things than you even imagined and you even dream of. So yeah, it was a very emotional time for me and my mom and telling the story, but it was also a very happy time that I got such a huge platform to tell that story and to appreciate her so publicly.
Thank you, Mahmoud. I think he just dropped right there. But Zara, a question for you on French application. Will I have to do all my presentations in French?
So as we mentioned earlier, we're fully catering to our Francophone applicants. And so if applicants are more comfortable pitching in French, we will allow them to do so, and we will cater to them by providing simultaneous translation. So we're more than open to that. And
so that includes their presentations, their pitches, everything.
Applications, everything.
So for all my French applicants, do not worry at all. You are completely included in this. Final question is to you, Jason, and it's about being able to apply from any country. Specifically, it says, Jason, even though I'm going to apply with my business, do I have to have a specific connection to COVID-19, or shall I just apply generally? Jason, that's the question to you.
Yeah, absolutely not. There's no requirement that your business has to be linked to COVID-19. This entrepreneur prize, this initiative is open to all entrepreneurs, regardless of your industry or what you're doing, completely open. As my colleague Zara just mentioned, there are some critical requirements that we want you to meet. You're African or African descendant, your business is headquartered in Africa, you're doing business in Africa. Those are some of our strict requirements. But no, you could be doing anything. And we fully welcome entrepreneurs in every sector.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, Mahmoud and Omar, and to you, Zara, for answering these questions. Of course, we have more, but we've also started a whole new exciting journey, and people will be able to have their questions answered, online, right?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Via the webinars, via our email address, info@africabusinessheroes.org. So at this point, we just encourage everyone to get out and apply.
Okay, so you see, If you want to be a hero, don't go look for a piece of fabric and tie it around your neck. Just look for the solution to Africa's next big problem. And as far as next big problem is concerned, I think it's right here, you know. So from being an advocate for entrepreneurship to you, lots of you being entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, older entrepreneurs, I have to say, I'm so proud to be part of the ANPI family, so proud to be part of the search for Africa's business hero, and most importantly, so proud of you, Africa, for saying, you know what, homegrown is power, and homegrown is the start of a wonderful revolution. Let's put our hands together and let's find our heroes right here on Africa's Netpreneur Prize Initiative. Remember, it's all up to you. Be the hero your continent needs. See you later.
Great.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.